In today's video, we are diving deep into conditions in Python, one of the most essential building blocks in programming. Whether you are a beginner or brushing up your skills, this video will help you understand how Python makes decisions using if, elif, and else, logical operator, nested conditions, and many more. So grab your favorite drink and open your code editor and let's go together. So first thing first, the question is what are conditions? So conditions allow your program to make decisions, just like real life. If it's raining, I'll take an umbrella, else I wear sunglasses. In Python, this kind of logic is written using if, elif, and else. Let's take a look at one basic example. So going over the code editor, I'm going to create myself a new file here, conditions.py, and let's explain them real quick. So we have, let's say, weather, which is rainy in our case. And if I want to check if the weather is rainy, I'm going to use if weather equal rainy. I'm using this equal operator which checks the equality. I'm using keyword if, and then I'm checking if this weather is equal to rainy, basically. We also have to use the colon, and then don't forget the indentation that we learned in the previous lectures. And now if this is happening, then I want to take an umbrella. Else, let's say for example, if this condition is not met, then I will print wear sunglasses. Let's run this program and see what we receive. So we get, I'm not sure if that's visible, real quick, there we go. As you can see, take an umbrella will be printed because this one is true. But if I'm going to do it sunny here instead of rainy, and I want to print this, you will see that now it's printing wear sunglasses. Because what's happening here is like we tell the program to skip this part if this condition is not met, and then we will go right into the else, which contains this print which says wear sunglasses. So don't forget about the indentation. But we also mentioned something about elif, which let's see an example with elif now. So let's say we have temperature, which is equal to 25. If temperature is greater than 30, I want to print that it's really hot. But what if the temperature is just bigger than 20? Let's check out if another condition, temperature being bigger than 20, then I will print it's just nice and warm. I want to check if it's above 10. If it's not above 20, might be between 10 and 20. So I want to check if temperature is above 10. And I want to print it's cool weather. Else, if it's none of these, I would assume it is cold. So what I did here is I'm checking if the temperature is above 30. If it's not above 30, I'm trying to understand if it is between 20 and 30, saying that if temperature is bigger than 20. Otherwise, I'm checking if it's bigger than 10. And at the end, as you can see, for else, we don't have any condition because it's anything else. I'm checking if none of these condition, that means the temperature is either, I mean, it's lower than 10. She says it's cold. So let's print this. With 25, it means that it is between 20 and 30. So this one will be printed here, nice and warm, as you can see here. But let's say I'm putting here 5 only, which is not above 10, obviously not above 20 or 30. So this is going to be printed else, which is obviously it's cold. Python reads top to bottom. As soon as one of this condition is true, then it stops checking the rest. So if this is true, you will see it's printing this one, and it will stop. It will not continue to go on the other conditions. Now let's see how we can use comparison and logical operators to create these conditions. In Python, know that we have several comparison operators, which are equal, not equal, greater, less than equal, or greater than equal. And we can also combine them with logical operators, which are and, or, and not. So let's see cool example. Let's say we have a variable named age, which is, I don't know, 20, and we want to check if the person has a ticket, for example. And I'm setting this to true, which is a boolean. I want to check if this person is above 80 and if the person also have the ticket. What I'm doing is if age it's greater than equal to 80, right? So this is the comparison operator I'm using. And now I'm using the logical operator and because I want to test both of these two conditions. And now I'm saying has ticket. So this one right here, because I'm just saying has ticket, if it's true, then this will match. If it's false, it won't match. So we leave it as it is. So don't forget the colon. And now we say print you can enter, for example. Else we can say print sorry, you cannot enter. So let's print this one. You can enter because obviously we have 20 as age and true as ticket. But if we set the ticket false, then it will print you cannot enter. So this is here, both conditions must be true in order to have the first batch executed. Otherwise, it will continue and it will print the else. But what is interesting in this case, for example, it is that I cannot tell the person in charge what's wrong and why he cannot enter. Why? Because I cannot tell if it's either the age or the ticket problem. But what I can do to make sure I can tell him exactly what's wrong and why he cannot enter, then I have to use nested condition. What does that mean? So let's restructure this. First of all, we say if age it's greater or equal to 18, and this if this is going to be true, then I will create another if inside this if. So this is basically the nested if. Don't forget the indentation, which is very, very important. And if as ticket, then I will another enter. And don't forget we have double indentation here because we have an if inside an if. And then I will print you can enter. Otherwise, for example, for this if, I create an else. And this else is basically the else of the second if because you can see the indentation, they are on the same column. So now what I can say it's print you don't have ticket. Why should I say that? Because now in the second if I'm checking if the person has the ticket. And in this case, if it doesn't have the ticket, I will say you don't have ticket. But I have to create another else because as you can see for the first if we don't have anything. So I'm creating another else and I'm saying print you don't have the age because it's if this is going to be false, then I will jump here and say hey, you don't have the age because I know that this condition is checking his age. But if his age is above 18, then I will jump into has ticket, which has to be true, otherwise it will print you don't have a ticket. So let's see how this works. So let's say, for example, with true, let's see what this can print. You can enter, right? Because it has above 18 years old and also has a ticket. Now, if I'm saying the age to, if I'm setting the age to 17, it says you don't have the age. So we already tell him what's the problem. In the previous example, we would tell them you cannot enter, but we couldn't tell them exactly what was the problem because we were using and. If we use the nested if, you can see that now we can tell him what's the problem. So let's say the age is 28, but doesn't have the ticket. See, it says you don't have ticket because it passed this first condition, but then it's a second condition which checks if the person has a ticket, which in this case didn't. So it will print you don't have a ticket. Now, I think it's important because you see, I only use the name here of the variable. I didn't type equal to true or something. And that's because I want to talk about truthy and falsy values. And what are these? In Python, some values are considered truthy or falsy, even without being strictly true or false. And we can see exactly in code, but let me give you some falsy examples so that you can understand. So in Python, falsy, it's 0 or none or an empty string or an empty list and so on. So let's, for example, create a variable called name, which we equal this to nothing, empty string, right? So if we check if name, which is basically saying if name exists or if name is truthy value, then we will print hello name, for example. Else print name is empty. And let's see how this works. You see, it says name is empty, Why? Because this is an empty string. It would work the same if I'm creating an empty list, for example. Name is empty. But now, what if I'm inserting something here like button? Let's see what this print. Hello button. And why this works? It is because now the string is no longer empty, which means the value, it's no longer falsy, it is actually truthy. So this is how it works. Even though name isn't completely false, right? It is not like this. It is just an empty string. It is considered to be false because it's a falsy value. Now let's build a small example together. A grade checker, for example, where you can enter the score and get a grade back. So let's try this. So we have score. We need the data first, which is, let's say, 87. And I'm trying to give a grade back based on this score. So I'm doing, if score is greater or equal to 90, then I will print grade A. But if score it's greater or equal to 80, so that means it is between 80 and 89, because 90 is already included in A. Now I'm printing the grade to be B. But if score greater or equal to, let's say, 70 this time, I'm going to print grade C. Let's create one more, score equal or greater than, greater or equal than 60, which is print grade D. And else, if it's below that, let's say it's just F. This is a basically real life example. So if I'm running this, I will get a B, grade B. Why? Because 87, it is not greater than 90, but it is greater than 80. So it is going to be in this category. So this is going to be printed. As you can see, it is printed. But if I'm saying this to 33, for example, I will get a grade F. Why? Because none of this condition is going to be met. So at the end, it will be printing the else. I hope that makes sense. So try changing the score and see how the output changes in your case, for example. Try to check if every single condition is going to work. And this is how conditional branching works in a real project. And for the end, I want to share with you some clean code tips, I would say, because I want to give some quick tips to write better conditional code. So first thing, I want you to keep conditions simple and readable. We don't want to overcomplicate them. Another thing is avoid deep nesting. This is very important, or at least when possible, because sometimes it's not gonna work, as I showed in my example. But try to use also logical operators to avoid deep nesting, because it is hard to follow. Use comments, as I'm doing right here, for clarity, especially if the logic is complex. And also you can use functions, but we didn't learn them yet, but I'm going to note them here to don't repeat yourself with the code. But we will learn this further on with the next videos. And that's it for today. If this helped you, drop a like, make sure to subscribe to avoid missing my next videos, or even for more Python tutorials. And leave a comment with your feedback. I want to know your feedback. Let me know if there is any area I can improve on. And I think we will be seeing in the next video. So goodbye.